to E3 2013 on Outside Xbox. Mike, what have you found?
I found an Elder Scroll, and I went mad reading it, unfortunately. Sorry.
You got better?
Got better, yeah, just about, yeah.
Okay, now that you're fully sane, what else have you been doing here in the Elder Scrolls Online area?
I have been playing the Elder Scrolls Online, recently announced for Xbox One. Very exciting, an MMO for the Xbox One.
Are you excited, though, for an MMO on the Xbox One?
I am. I'm not really an MMO guy, I've got to be honest. I've not really played them at all, but this one, to me, seems like they're kind of hiding a lot of the annoying things of MMOs behind Skyrim-y stuff. So the big thing is that you can play it in first person and you can see your arms and stuff. So you can play it exactly like you play Skyrim and Oblivion, things like that. The other great thing is there's a lot of sort of scripted dialogue, storyline, branching conversations, things like that, and everything's voiced. So it feels close to the sort of Skyrim experience, essentially. That was what I took away from it anyway.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I've played a lot of World of Warcraft, and being someone who's played a lot of MMO, I recognise all the MMO elements in it. So maybe it's one of these, maybe it's a new next-gen MMO that can be kind of all things to all people. And it's got the first-person perspective, which unfortunately wasn't here today, but that's going to make the world of difference for people who only know the Elder Scrolls, obviously, as a console game in first person.
Absolutely. I think there are moments where it does sort of fall apart. At one point I completed a mission where the king was in danger, and I finished the mission, and then I talked to the guy again, and instantly was like, oh, the king said he's not going to go anywhere. I'm like, did you just pop on the phone to him in the split second where I would finish the quest? And so some of it, kind of the storytelling does kind of fall over slightly when it has to brute force that MMO stuff in, but I kind of like the experience of just running around doing the quest, and there might be other people doing the quest and they'll be fighting alongside you. You don't really have to interact with them at all. You can trade a bit and things like that. And I think the other thing that's really exciting is, because this is separate from the main series, the area that you play in is absolutely huge. So we've seen games like, there was a game called Daggerfall previously, there was Oblivion, which was set in Cyrodiil, people might remember. Morrowind, obviously on the original Xbox, was set in Morrowind, and Skyrim was set in Skyrim. This game has all of them in there. So I think that's a really nice take. This is one of the few times when you're going to get to, roam the entirety of the sort of Elder Scrolls landscape.
Yeah. What kind of class were you playing as? I was playing as a Breton knight at a sword and shield. So what did you have?
I had an orc sorcerer with kind of two-handed weapons, but also like a staff that was just kind of like shooting fireballs. So I could kind of hover back. I didn't really get a real feel for the kind of hand-to-hand combat, as it were, or weapon combat. I had various spells. I could summon a little purple lightning buddy thing, goblin, which was good fun. But yeah, I was mainly hovering back and just kind of firing. It's got this kind of nice, you tap the button to fire a sort of, a quite soft charge, but then you can like charge it up and fire a more powerful one. So that seemed to work quite well. I'd be much more interested to see whether it's satisfying to get into a sword fight, because that's going to be the key. My experience of like MMOs, limited as it is that combat is never that sort of satisfying when you get in close.
Yeah, I was reasonably impressed with how sword and shield combat worked. A little bit, as you described, for the magic, it was left mouse button for the basic attack, or hold left mouse button for a stronger, longer attack, and then right button for the shield, but with real sort of live dodging. So if you step out of the way, if you sidestep and they attack and you're not there, you don't get hurt, which sounds obvious, but that's generally, that's not how many an MMO would do its combat. So that's nice. There's a physicality to that, which is pleasing, and will be especially pleasing in first person. And there's just a general physicality in that when you're running around, you don't feel like a kind of airy sprite that's just kind of jogging along. But yeah, you feel kind of grounded in the world, which is super important, of course, this being the world of Elder Scrolls.
I think that ultimately, it's not quite going to feel like Skyrim, but I think it's close enough that actually people might forgive the elements where it feels a bit MMO-y in favour of being able to run around with their friends. People have been asking for co-op in an Elder Scrolls game for ages. People have tried to mod it into the PC versions. So actually the ability to run around and do similar sort of things that you'd be doing in Skyrim, but with buddies, I think people might be able to forgive some of the sort of slightly, slightly more MMO elements. I'm interested to give it a try, particularly on a controller, and see how that plays. And I think it ultimately is great to have a sort of big, high-budget MMO coming to the Xbox One. It'll be interesting to see whether you have to pay a subscription, because that would put me off. Again, not an MMO guy. I'm not really interested in paying a running subscription on top of my live gold account. But if it's a sort of subscription-free model with microtransactions, I'd probably be prepared to give it a go.
With microtransactions?
Well, you've got to fund it somehow, right? And I would rather that way. I would rather be able to play it for free and slowly progress than have to pay £10 a month or whatever.
All right, well, I guess we'll see. That was Elder Scrolls Online here at E3 2013.